Dang it, you thought as you deactivated your quirk. You had ripped a stitch again. You clutched your side and dropped to your knees, beginning to cough harder and harder. When you heard the door open behind you, you turned your head to see Toga standing there, with a disappointed look on her face. You've got to be kidding me, she whined. She walked over to you and helped you up, and the two of you walked out of the room and into a bigger one. This room had, well, pretty basic furnishings. A really old, moth-eaten couch on one wall, a pool table that wasn't really meant for pool in the middle, and a smaller medical table on the far left corner. She walked you over to it, and you sat down, putting more pressure on the open wound, and waited for Kirogiri. And as you walked into the room, you felt a shiver go up your spine. You had only been with the LOV for about a week or so, but you still weren't necessarily used to Kirogiri. I mean, sure, he was nice, but he just made you really antsy all the time. He tells you to lay down, and you do so, feeling the cold metal against your back. He pulls out a large suture kit, disinfectant, and a lighter. You roll up your shirt to where the stitch is, and mentally prepare yourself as Kirogiri flicks the lighter on. You watch the little flame as it dances, as it sterilizes the tip of a large needle, then disappears as he turns the lighter off. You turn away, bracing yourself for the pain. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. You repeat in your head as Kirogiri starts closing the wound. The pain is sharp and stinging. You have to bite down on the collar of your shirt to keep from crying or screaming. But as soon as it starts, it's done. Kirogiri finishes cleaning up the wound and puts a layer of gauze over it, just to protect it. As he finishes, you sit up and fix your shirt. Sorry, Kirogiri, I'll do better on not dying for the next few weeks. You say half sarcastically, and he rolls his yellow eyes. Or at least you think they're eyes? But you watch him as he leaves, and then you realize something. A grim thought creeps into your mind. After the stunt you pulled in the courtroom, will Shoto be out to actually kill you this time? Will he actually get rid of you? For good? Shoto pulls the last picture off the wall in his apartment. He finally got rid of all the pictures of you in his life. He walked over to a small trash can and dropped the picture inside. As he did so, he heard the glass crack. Good. He was so done with you. You had been a thorn in his side for way too long. But now, he was finally rid of the things that reminded him of you. He finished cleaning up and walked into the living room to see Momo sitting on the couch waiting for him. Hey, she says sweetly as he sits down next to her. Hey, he says with a smirk. Then he turns to completely face her and takes her hands in his. Momo, you know I love you, right? He says sheepishly. Yeah? Why do you ask? She asks, giving him a puzzled look. It's just... I just want... Well, He groans in minor frustration, then stands before kneeling down. Momo, I want to marry you. And I know that it might be a little bit difficult since, well, yes. What? He stares up at her in pure shock. Yeah, of course I'll marry you, she says bluntly. I've literally been waiting forever for you to ask. So, yes, of course I'll marry you. And with that, the two embrace. I love you, Momo. I love you too, Shoto. You wake up with a start, your face drenched in sweat and tears, adrenaline sprinting through your blood so fast you could barely breathe. Was that all a dream? It all seemed so real. You threw your blanket off and turned on the light, sitting there for a moment, letting your anger fume. You got up and walked over to the full-body mirror leaning up against the wall and stared at yourself for several seconds, when all of a sudden, all the anger and fury boiled over. You raised a clenched fist and punched the mirror as hard as you could. And as you watched the shards of glass hit the floor, you heard the door open. What in the name of everyone are you doing? It's the middle of the night. It was Dobby. He sounded annoyed, as always, but also worried. You turn to face him, tears still blurring your vision. Then, you had an idea. You activated your quirk and visualized Shoto as clearly as you could, and within seconds, you had a clone of him standing in front of you, along with what looked like a civilian crumpled up on the ground in front of him. We have to do this perfectly, or else it won't work, you say as you turn to Dabi. You go to snap your fingers, but a pain stops you. You look down at your hand to find it covered in blood, with little bits of glass sticking out at random angles. Oops, you say, embarrassed. You broke the mirror and injured yourself again, but that almost didn't matter. You had a plan to get him in as much trouble as you could. A few weeks later, you and Dabi sat in front of a very crusty, Shigaraki-looking laptop, waiting for a video to finish rendering. You wanted people to see what Shoto was really capable of. Even though it was fake, you knew that it was going to get him in so much trouble. It was done. Finally. You selected the options for viewing the video, then hit upload, and within a few minutes, it was complete. You sat there, watching your work with pride while a devilish grin spread across your face. It looked so real. The video itself shows Shoto attacking and brutally murdering several citizens in cold blood. He stabbed them over and over and over again, just as he had done to you. Then, he set their body on fire and watched as it burned. It looked believable. It looked like an attack. You ready to ruin a life? Dabi asked wholeheartedly. You nodded. You were born ready. Within weeks, the video went viral, with thousands of views and even more comments. The video got so far as to even be seen by the same judge who was in charge of your trial. He contacted Shoto immediately, and from there, it all went downhill. News reporters, civilians were terrified. Everyone wanted to know why he had done that, but he kept trying to tell them that it wasn't him. It was fake. Someone had obviously set him up. And he was right. And it was glorious. You enjoyed watching him squirm and struggle. You had struggled. You had struggled so much just to get other people like him to see that what they were doing was wrong. Perfect. It was finally coming together. Every bit of your plan finally was coming together. You were so happy. About a few days after the video finally went viral, you sat on the old moth-eaten couch in the living room of the Yellow V base, eyes glued to the TV. Yet another news outlet was yammering on about the video, saying how much it had blown up over the week it had been on the internet. You sat there content with the mayhem you had caused. It was going so well. You actually thought you were going to get away with it. Someone was at the door. You got up and walked over to it and started to open it, but stopped yourself. You could feel heat on the other side of the wooden door. Shoto. You opened the door and practically jumped out of the way as a blast of heat from his fire barely touched your leg. Upon seeing you, though, his flame diminished, and he had an odd look on his face. Like he was happy to see you, but like he wanted to both hug you and strangle you at the same time. Why are you here? How'd you find this place? You questioned. How did you... Before you could finish, Shoto wrapped you in a hug. It was warm. Too warm. You realized the back of your shirt was on fire. You flung yourself from him, trying to get the flames out, screaming as it started to burn your back. Ha! Still falling for that one, aren't you, listener? You turned around and stared at him, daggers shooting from your eyes. Are you serious? What are you even doing here? What do you want? Isn't it obvious, babe? So this is it. What? What do you mean? You finally come to kill me, right? He looked at you, confused. Kill you? Are you out of your mind? No! Huh? But I thought you hated me. You asked, completely baffled. Hate you? How could I possibly hate you? He asked, sounding equally baffled. You started to back away from him, looking at him like he was crazy. What was he saying? You had been horrible to him, and had made him look like a fool in front of so many people, and not to mention all the emotional damage you'd inflicted on him. Listener, I miss you, he said honestly. You froze. You hadn't heard him say your name like that in such a long time. I love you. I always have, and I always will. You've made me realize that it doesn't matter whether or not you're a villain or I'm a hero. All that matters is what makes you happy. I haven't been keeping that promise. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you, ever. Please, just... Can you forgive me? As he spoke these words, he dropped down to his knees. He was begging, literally begging you to forgive him. Shoto, get up. You're going to embarrass yourself. Please, he said, ignoring you. The look in his eyes. He meant it. You stood there, shocked. Was this real? He was apologizing to you. Could you forgive him? Could you really? But no, you could. Of course I will. Can you forgive me for all the stupid things I've done to hurt you? You say, your voice breaking. I know I didn't want to lose you, but I did. I'm sorry. Please. It's okay. I forgive you. And without another word, the two of you embraced. You were so happy, beyond happy to have him back. After a few days, you begin to learn what actually happened between him and Momo. At the trial, they were together just to get under your skin, and it had worked, but after that, she began using Shoto for his money. Even though she was already rich, her dad had even tried to marry them. What? But luckily, he'd escaped that, and now he was an official member of the LOV. Officially. And the two of you, well, the first plan was really just to go torture Momo for like a week, which you did. Rather successfully, might I add. It was a lot of fun, actually. But you were content. Very happy. And nothing else could make you happier. And guys, this is where I'm gonna have to say I'm finally done with this freaking series. Oh my word, this costed... Actually, not that much, but it just costed so much time, and I am so sorry that it took forever. I finally got the recording done. I am happy to be done with this. Please, give me more ideas. I'm running out. I have one more idea that I'm gonna run by y'all. Please, just give me something. Also, please, show your support. Do subscribe. I would love to get to 2K at some point, but if I can't now, that's totally fine. And once again, guys, I love you guys so much. Please don't forget that. You guys are loved so much, and I don't even know any of you. But nonetheless, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day or night, wherever you may be. Bye-bye.